Bitcoin is potentially a way to, kind of rethink how we fund and, monetize and, even exit potentially a company or an organization. The idea would be that a variety of protocols potentially can be rethought of as coins, right? So DNS coin and Tor coin and PKI coin and so on and so forth. Many of these protocols that have been backdoored in various ways by three-letter agencies could be reinvented in this distributed fashion. And historically, the issue has been, how do you get really competent software engineers to kind of do this? Yes, open source has been part of that, and it's done extremely well. But now you can have on top of that the ability to, say, have 30% of the coins initially, almost like an equity stake, reserved for the open source developers, and then you pay a small fee in that coin currency to use these servers, right? So you distribute the code open source, and then anything that is something where you'd stand up a DNS coin server or a Tor coin server, someone would have to send you some Tor coins in order to use that server, right? And that would give value to it, right? So that is a way to think about at least protocols. A variety of new protocols can now be rethought of and monetized and funded via coinification. So we could fund it by, for example, giving people $5 million for some percent of the coins, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of one. But it's more broad than that, right? So it's not just protocols, but, for example, namespaces, right? So another way that you can think about, for example, monetizing a Twitter coin, like a distributed Twitter that would be built on this. So the server doesn't just have to be a DNS server or a Tor server. It could be a Twitter server or a Twitter coin server. And one way you could monetize it is twitter.com/Joe or whatever. It would be a very valuable name. And then you could have those names be rare and scarce and paid for in Twitter coins. And so Namecoin is kind of also like this. So you can extend it from protocols. You can think about namespaces. And a really interesting question is, first, those two right there are very, very broad ways to monetize things. And I think we'll see dozens, if not hundreds, of these kinds of things out there. So Bitcoin is just a first in a list. But I think what's really interesting and open question is, does it generalize even further beyond that, right? If software is, kind of eating the world, many services, many things can be put into one of these two forms. So it's basically a web server that you're standing up and then paying in coins for that. So it's potentially an extremely broad concept. And it means, for example, a lot of things that are sort of done heuristically right now, like valuations and things like that, can change because now you've got like a public ticker sort of for each of these things based on, kind of like the same way that Bitcoin's market price is arrived at, supply and demand for these services, right? So there's a lot of really interesting aspects of the AppCoin concept, and that's something that we're very interested in.
And we have stealth-funded one,
yes.
Can't say which company, but we have funded one company
yeah.
that basically has this as their approach, including
yeah.
their monetization approach.
Okay,
so we found one. We would love to do more.